Oh boy. Oh, we are live, hopefully. Um, oh wow. See, this is the first time I'm using StreamYards. And oh my god, please don't have a thing out in the there's noise, it's just my neighbors, so don't worry about it. Um, let's see if I'm live actually. Let me go to my YouTube channel. That's always my backup. So, let's see. Fellas, can you hear me in the chat? Wow, this is the first time I'm using StreamYards. I can't believe I've been sleeping on this technology. But let's see here. Just update. Yes, we are live. Kevin Clareman, thank you. Let me go to YouTube just really quickly. Yes, we are live. Okay. So I have important updates for the channel. And you guys can hear me. Yeah, King Salmon Fish. So I recently purchased um for a year. Well, I mean, I'll renew it, but StreamYards, I can't believe it. This has been amazing. StreamYards. Actually, I actually probably do need that other light. Let me where is it? There we go. Nope, too bright. What the hell am I doing? My God, this is terrible. This is boomer tech right here. There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm using my good mic now. So I purchased StreamYards, and this is why everybody uses StreamYards. It's just inherently good. It's very intuitive. I can share screen. I can look at the chat. It's not like OBS because I'm terrible at OBS. I don't know how to. I don't have some kind of magic the way other people do OBS. But so yeah, StreamYards has been great. I tested it out last night with a Prudentialist. Um, and hopefully going forward, yes, it is Father's Day. God bless to all the fathers. I'm probably going to be doing a barbecue for my old man tomorrow. And so exciting news for the channel. Two big things. Well, actually, three. Okay, so last week I missed out on Modern Art Madness because I had a bunch of stuff. Because the reason why was, to be brutally honest, my arm was all screwed up. I kind of like I sprained like the major tendon here, and it was I was man, I was bad for a few days. I was terrible. I was yeah, it was really bad. I thought I had tennis elbow, but no, you're not late, Philip. You just started on time. And yes, Philip, I got your message. So hopefully our friend is listening to this. One day I do actually want to cover her book she wrote way back in the day because it's pertinent to what I'm doing here. But before that, so channel announcements. I screwed up my arm. I think I slept on it or something. I don't know. Maybe it was from gardening. And I was bad for like, oh man, like I couldn't do anything. It was kind of like sciatica where, yeah, the pain was just like, I threw everything. I threw the kitchen sink at it. But then I go to the clinic and the doctor, she's like, yeah, it's not tennis elbow. You just sprained it. Just sit on it for a few days. Because, they do the test of strength, right? And she's like, yeah, you have a bunch of strength in your arm, so don't worry about it. So I'm good now. But so next week I'm gonna have two, one for Patreon, one for the YouTube channel in public. The one in public's really great. It's about, oh god, what's it about? Is it an installation? No. Yeah. I'm even forgetting. I have to. I'm editing it, but I still forget. It's 20. Okay, yeah. Here it is. What it's about. It's a very special. It's more of an essay, like one, not an art, not a video essay, but it's more of a talk about two different works of art. One was the inauguration painting of Joe Biden, and the other was the inauguration painting of Donald Trump. So, for people who don't know, in America, I think since either Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan, presidents have picked a work of art for their first inaugural luncheon to display, usually from the Smithsonian. And so I'm comparing the two and what the two paintings say about each presidency in stark contrast to each other. So that's very exciting. Um, and I had to read a bunch of Washington Compost pieces for it. But the Patreon one, go and subscribe to Patreon. That's going to be delicious and spicy. It's going to be called The Long Tent. I am reviewing Tracy Eamon's tent called Everyone I've Ever Been Intimate With. and it's terrible. I was showing Prude it the other night, and he's like, "I can't believe this exists." I go, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "Bro, you haven't been Tracy Eamon pilled, you know?" So that's exciting. Also, planning a regular or semi-regular stream show, like culture show with Prudentialist, something similar to what Catherine and Personality Girl were doing with After the Orgy. But we have a few names, but the name that he likes is called the Shitpost Archipelago, which I think that's actually a pretty good name. So in the chat, press 1 if Shitpost Archipelago is a good name for a live stream. Press 2 if that's a terrible name. But we will see what happens. So that also, I have another important content update. Let me go to my, because I'm going to be using screen share a lot in this. Where's the screen? Oh, here it is. Screen share. Share screen. See, this is what I love. I love how you could like pick, like it's not like it's not like an OBS where I don't know how to hide the chat or anything like that. So why is it not showing up? Come on, show up for me. What are you doing? What are you doing? I have the other one here. Let's see. I'm trying to share the. If not, I have to. Not the entire screen. Select window. Well, I'll share this screen. It's just I have to. Let me do it again. No. What are you doing? If not, I have to go to the full screen, which I don't want to do. But we'll see what happens. Entire screen. StreamYard Mozilla. Is that the one? No, that's not the one. You know what? I'll just go to yeah, so here you go. I got off my ass and I am doing the content minded podcast, but it will have other things too on Anchor. And of course, you could listen to it on Spotify, apparently, but I don't have a Spotify because I'm a Leaf and apparently you have to pay for it here. But here we have this is the public page. I have all of the public versions of Content Minded, and I'm also uploading all of the Style Talks, and I will upload the audio versions of the Laid Back Saturday streams and a few other things as well. I'm going to do that because people have been requesting a way in which you can download episodes and listen to them on your phone, like if you're traveling. So you can go to either Spotify or the Anchor app, and I believe you can download each episode. So I believe you can do this. I've tried it out with other podcasts. You can do it. So if you want to wait to listen to it as a podcast, I think you also have I think I enabled RSS on it too. So so if you want to do it, you want to download each episode for to listen to it on your own time, this is a way to do it. Because honestly, like you have to do a bunch of like rigmarole to put them on Apple Podcast. Maybe one day I'll put them on Apple Podcast, but you got to pay for a third party. And I mean, maybe one day I will pay for a third party. I'll have to ask Astral how he does it. So yeah, let's stop screen share. Do I have a meme over here? No, I have the other thing there. So I have a bunch of threads to read today, but also stop sharing. There we go. Also, I'm going to read Daniel Miller's chapter from the Please Go and Buy I Am 1776 issue 1. Go to the website. Actually, let me drop the website into the chat where you can buy it. So 1776. I should have this ready for you, but So I Am 1776. If you go to the website, I believe that you can only buy it through the website. You can't, I don't think you can buy it through Amazon yet or something like that, but it's better if you buy directly. So I'm going to pop it into the chat. Please go and support I Am 1776. I am published by I Am 1776. I didn't make it into this one. I was pissed. I should have. At the time that Mark was fielding essays for this book, I was writing a big piece for the Passage Prize book. If you actually ended up, I believe, I don't know if Lomez is going to offer it for free, but if you go to, oh wait, you can show. Yo, man, that's how you do it. Oh, bro, I can do Q&A streams now. Uh, Props to Geo. Looking forward to listening through the back catalog. Yeah. Um, Going into the aestheticization of politics posting day. Yes, I will. I have two very important threads to read, and then I'm going to read Daniel Miller's essay from here. But please go and buy the book. I'm a part of the I am 1776 family, and please support the guys who run it. They're friends of mine. They're friends of ours. But there have been some criticisms, I think, that I will address here. Some, I think, warranted criticisms of what people are calling the new art right or whatever. So this is what the stream is about today. Other than that, final note, so my arm is better, yada yada. Go to patreon.com. Next week, I'm going to release the I'm trying to think. Should I, like, okay, so to be brutally honest, I'm kind of up in the air with the Nuke Telly episode. I think I'm going to release the full thing on Patreon because I'm going to have to heavily edit it for OPSEC purposes. But next week, I'm going to release on Content Minded the podcast with Wide Dog, the winner of the Passage Prize. He is a very important digital artist. He was in the arts and illustration industry, the sort of graphic design illustration industry for many years. He went to art school and everything. And we talk about the art world. We talk about his inspiration. We talk about futurism. So next week, my good friend Wide Dog is going to be on Content Minded. I do have a bunch of streams planned. Tonight, I'm recording a very special stream, not stream, a very special recording for Content Minded with two of my favorite e-girlfriends, hopefully two of them, but also an exciting episodes I have planned. I have one in the can with Eidetic Jesus, who runs the Mytho American account. We talk about the future and the direction and the spiritual purpose of America. It is truly one of the best podcasts I've ever recorded. Another really great podcast, one of the best I think I've ever recorded, is with Nina Power. I recorded almost 3 hours with Nina Power. We talk about her new book, What Men Want. We talk about a bunch of different stuff, the incel question and all that. It's amazing. Geo, what did you say, Cyber Ninja Zero, you bastard? Geo, once again, punching right and subverting traditional taste with modern art. He can't keep getting away with it. Also, I'm going to probably at the end of this month, I have a bunch of other recording schedule things planned. Next week, I'm going to be recording with Josh Neal about his new book. We're going to talk about a bunch of interesting stuff. And the thing is with Josh Neal is that I don't want to talk about his book, American Extremist, because frankly, he talked about that book to death. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm getting sick of talking about that book. But he sent me a bunch of his fresh, newer work that he's working on. So the Josh Neal episode is going to be amazing. I have a few planned. I'm going to get Alexander Adams, the visual artist, on. I'm going to probably get King's. Yeah, I know you're in the chat. King Salmon Fish again. I'm going to. Yeah, I was listening to the. What did you say, Moses? I was listening to the private stream and Patreon after the podcast that Shut Up you mentioned. I think the advice made short clips. Yes, I'm going to also release short clips throughout. I'm going to release a teaser clip of the Patreon portion of the Nemetz stream. But the thing about it with the Nemetz stream is that I have to really edit it, and that's why I had to paywall it, because he gets into a lot of spicy topics. Same with Matt Forney, same with Terror House. I highly recommend just subscribing to watch the Matt Forney one, because that one he gets into personal stuff and for Terrorist Magazine, and he gets into his history with a certain figure who recently denounced white nationalism, a certain hair flippy guy that he had dealings with, and he drops a lot of hot goss. So if you want hot goss and drama of years past and also somewhat currently, and you want to if you really want some hot goss on the woman topic, go and subscribe to patreon.com/Giant Art Productions. The Matt Forney, the Terror House Magazine episode, it's truly Kino. Art should be downstream from liturgy. Do you mean the band liturgy? No, I mean, yeah, you mean liturgy. I agree. Um, we'll get into this with this topic. So I don't know why the screen share is not allowing me to just select that one particular window. Um, share screen. So I have an so before we get into so now let's get into this. Now that all of the oh, there you go. There you go. It's popped up now. So let us get into the question of right-wing art. Now, I have to share something that people didn't get at the time. People didn't get it at the time. Actually, you know what? Let me drop the link to the Anchor podcast. I'm going to be doing, I think, a release video. I'm going to just do a quick update video on next week about the Anchor podcast. Sorry, the Anchor stream, because I'm in the process of putting all of like the longer videos onto Odyssey as a backup. Like I physically hard backup everything, but I'm starting to but Odyssey is a great backup channel because it's on a, blockchain supposedly, and you can't get banned from it. So go to Anchor if you want to download the episodes. All of the style talks are on there. All of the I'm going to put all the laid back Saturdays on there. I'm going to do put all, of course, all the content minded episodes. Go if you want to download them and listen to them on your phone, on your own time, or away from keyboard. Please go. So let me go to a piece of right wing art that I made recently that people didn't get at the time. But I had this tweet about, so for those who don't know, so this comes from a conversation I had with Crooner that you can find on Content Minded. You can also find it on the Anchor now, where he talked about how Slavoj Zizek back in like 2003 wrote this blurb, wrote these blurbs that became pages in the Abercrombie and Finch 2003 Back to School edition about the butterfly and the woman transforming into a butterfly, very Zen-like. And so I said, we need an Abercrombie and Finch for the new American male phenotype. An Island Outfitter magazine, nothing but big fat party animal dudes in Hawaiian shirts, accompanied by plus-size bog models. Oh, right there, he saw blurbs in the text. Oh, by the way, look at that, my Sylvester mug. So this is what I did. I did 4 panels, ladies and gentlemen, 4 panels. Look at this. A new man is born. Indulge in the ultimate decadence. The male phenotype of the 21st century has radically shifted. Supreme leisure is the key to a new Dionysian potential. The Hawaiian shirt colonizes the world with its casual and fun camouflage, a way in which the man of portly girth can imbibe and blend into the nightlife, the promise of endless success. Become the life of the party. Oh, how life is sweet in excess. And of course, I had to find stock images of it just so I avoid copyright. You shall inherit, this is my favorite. You shall inherit the ashes of the world. The Hawaiian shirt is a symbol of the large man embracing the frivolity of existence. To blend different cultures of the Polynesians with westernized notions of consumer bliss. To conquer the world only to rest upon the shores of its most serene paradises. The fat man in Hawaiian shirt is the pure global citizen, as envisioned through a utopian lens. As it is said by Friedrich Nietzsche, by the way, true knowledge and insight into the horrible truth outweighs any motive for action, both in Hamlet and in the Dionysian man. I would prefer to be even a satyr than a saint. Here's the third one. Oh boy. Experience life as it was meant to live. And this is a reference to a certain my posting career. You all know the one, the cycle. Why did Newton discover calculus? What are Maxwell's equations? The weight of human history and its development, from its appropriation of style to the prolonged existence and spread of the portly man, has gone into the succulent moment. The Hawaiian shirt stands for the friar wanderer, the joy and whimsicalness of the fat man on the prowl, exploring the world in ways that are improbable centuries ago. And this is the final one. The shores of bliss awaits you with every belabored step. You take into your own personal paradise, your own life affirmation. Our catalog of Hawaiian shirt apparel will see you through. And I love that, man. I love that. Did you love that, people? The Bap Lebowski. The Bap Lebowski. Did you love that, ladies and gentlemen? Was that good? I'll post that to my Telegram and my Facebook channel. Oh, by the way, no fucking Instagram has not has, Instagram has not gotten back to me. I think my Instagram account is lost forever, but I don't really care because Instagram is a human cesspit. And also, if you want to follow my art, besides Twitter and Telegram, I do have a Facebook backup page. So here it is, the Facebook backup page. If you want to follow my artwork, but I'm working on a seller's website with Matthew, so I just really have to put stock on it, and then I'm good. I don't think I think I have to renew my Google subscription, whatever, because I remember last year during the Chinese decadent delicacy, I signed on for this digital Main Street seller's website program. And I don't know why. I've just been lazy because I think I was caught up and follow the rules and all that. And so I hope you liked my rendition of the Hawaiian shirt. What is this? Geo fits naturally with Hawaiian shirt. Don't deny it. That's very true. But also the Facebook link is in the description of this video. So let's get into the real topic at hand, which is what people are referring to as the new art right. And people have sort of appointed me as an ambassador of such a thing. But I do think that there are criticisms to be had. Now, to begin with, let me share a thread by what's his name? Real American Citizen. Let's see here. Oh, you can share slides too and an extra camera. Oh, I can do painting streams with this. I could have like a webcam on my palette, and I could have a webcam on the canvas. That's amazing. I can't believe that. So let me share stream again. Share screen again. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. So let me go to my bookmarks. It's right here. Where is it? Here we go. So his new account is Mainstream Views, and he's a friend of mine. He's a friend of the Frogs, but he does bring up a good point. But I think what he meant was Passage Prize instead of like I Am 1776, because of course, I Am is primarily a literature magazine and website. And so this is a response by my friend Pyre in Spring, which I will get into. Let me advertise. I'll get into Pyre in Spring for a minute, but let me just read what he wrote. The problem with right-wing art as envisioned by the I Am 1776 crowd is that it's explicitly political art made by people who are barely conservative when we actually need is political art made by people who are openly right-wing extremists. Yeah, that's true. Hitler, the Austrian painter, just painted pretty buildings. If I had painted explicitly political images of the who's invented by communists or whatever, you would be able to trick people into saying you enjoy the Austrian painter's artwork. So this is, I think, it's a joke tweet, but I think it hits at a fundamental problem with, stuff I've been talking about years ago. But my criticism that I responded to Citizen with is that, Nostromo is also a great writer. I highly recommend following him. Good recent example of this, MD World Peace, Hakan's tweets in 2016 Frog Twitter. Above all, the whole point about right-wing art is that theory and politics don't come first. The art critic is gay. Should I say the popularizer is Giesler? Maybe I should respond. I'm just a humble art critic. Grifting my wares. There you go. There you go. But so this is a valid criticism, but I think that my good friend Bob, who I'm going to put his thread on here. This is the intent. Bob Wiley, he has a great thread here. Go and subscribe to Scuff It Be Wiley. Um, he has a great thread in reply to this sentiment of right wing art. But the point being is, I think I do value this criticism because when you sort of instrumentalize the work of art in such a way as it becomes propaganda, then it's just and here's Lomez's reply. Was just responding to an interview where I said pretty much exactly this. So this is what Lomez said: to the extent that what we were doing, what I'm doing is political, is that I'm hoping to encourage and promote artists who are themselves right wing, even extremely so. And if these artists are right writers, produce products are coded as right wing values, right wing causes, right wing interests, well, then so be it. I expect their art will espouse those things, and I welcome it. Does that mean that the project is driven towards some clear and direct political goal as a consequence of this? Not really. I don't know what the political goal would be, and that not what is getting me up in the morning. So if it comes out in public, I'll probably ask Lomez if it does. My essay in Passage Prize in the Passage magazine book is called Garden of Light, and it addresses this problem. And it's one of the better essays I think I've written on this topic of the right wing in relation to the work of art. And it took me a while to write, but we'll see what happens. I have to write more, obviously. But this is what my friend Pyrean Spring wrote. Where is it? Let me go to it. For those who don't know, Pyrean Spring, he produces Asylum magazine. Go to Asylum magazine. Let me actually just drop the link. I will drop the link in the show notes here. I've contributed artwork, but I have yet to write an essay. I probably will write an essay for him. He's actually a fellow Leaf, and I think I'm going to meet him in real life one day. He lives fairly close to me. Well, I mean, every Leaf I've ever met on Twitter either lives in Toronto or like Nova Scotia or somewhere like that. So, I mean, I've met my good friend Gore in GSP. He's a good friend of mine from Toronto. So he says, if you understand right wing as not just political signifier, but as stand-in for the understanding of beauty or nature, then you will accomplish both. Example of beautiful nude painting / sculpture. And of course, this is, I'm going to send a link to my other article I wrote in my Substack. What does Twinksdork say? Anime already exists. There's absolutely no need for humans to invent more art. Oh, that's brutal. That's good. I'm actually planning a stream. Not a stream, a recording for Content Minded about anime and the right wing. So that's going to be exciting. I have a few people in mind. People have floated the name of what's his name, PaxTube, the YouTuber. So I just have to find a way. But I think my good friend Censored Anon will be on that podcast. But I think I'm gonna have to find a way to contact PaxTube. I'm trying to binge all of his videos, but I've been so busy. So let me go to the chat. Mongoose Man Geo already talked about this beautiful boy. Nature is God's propaganda. That is very true. I guess Geo is taking the NRX stance of I'll stop repeating the point when you learn the lesson. Well, that's very true. I mean, I'm trying to I don't I don't like to belabor points though. That's the thing. I don't really like to repeat myself in a lot of ways. Like I noticed that I like to give people fresh content, but that becomes very challenging. So Michael asks how to avoid the trap of over. See, this is why I have to enable super chats. Why the hell am I giving you you peons? I can't believe it. You plebes. Why am I giving you my attention without money, without mammons? I can't believe that. No, I'm kidding. I mean, even if I set up super chats and monetization, which I think if I hit 4K subscribers, I'll set up super chats and monetization. I will, I'll still give you guys attention. How to avoid the trap of overtly ideological driven art attitudes, though, i.e. the communistic, your art must serve the glorious revolution ethos. Well, Michael, I think the point is I think it's kind of impossible nowadays, apart from the most the most derivative examples of kitsch. Because I think that we live in an era where politics becomes the, let's call it, the image of thought of all being in contemporary society. Politics becomes the sort of metaphysical miasma, bad air that we're surrounded by all the time. And I think that's why it's near impossible to escape even the politicization of the landscape, as I will cover in my, because one of them is a famous landscape painting by one of the Hudson School painters that Joe Biden picked, who was an African American artist at the time. So Geo sets up super chats quickly. What is this? Wait. Oh boy, Cyber Ninja Zero. My favorite A-log. Geo sets up super chats, quickly discovers audiences broke neats. Geo goes to double bankrupt and gets sold to the Canadian state. Oh boy. Well, I mean, I've recently also hit my Patreon goal, so I'm in the process of emailing all of my $20 and $50 patrons to send them artwork either at the end of this month or next month. And I really want to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons. A lot of you, I mean, I already have 100 patrons. I can't believe that. I mean, at the $5 level, but like I want to I think I want to offer special things. I want to do the Q&A thing where if you're a patron, you can email me questions and I will do like a monthly or like, semi-monthly video addressing questions and topics. Because if you are a patron at the $20 level, you can request at least 2 pieces of content, either an article or an artwork or a stream or a video. So at the $20 patron level, you can request and also the $50, but the $50 you get something else. All Geo's patrons turn out to be Peter Thiel and Poodler using sock puppets. Listen, if Peter, like I said this before, if Peter Thiel gave me money, I wouldn't be living in Canada still. But someone asked me about the recent border liftings, and the thing is, like, apparently they are going to let me out of the country one day soon, but Biden in the States does not want to let me in the States still. So we have a situation where Biden is probably more crazy than Trudeau. That's really something else I don't want to comment on for fear of getting banned. So now we have my good friend B. Wiley. Now we're going to go to his thread, and then I will read the Daniel Miller piece from Please Go and Purchase I Am 1776 issue 1 art literature. And a lot of my friends are in here. Catherine has a great essay about right-wing art in here. Daniel Miller. Who else is in here, actually? A bunch of other people. Titus, Tichura, a bunch of other people. Chris Haywood. Let me look at it. And also you have like a different, like, where's that mirror one? You have like different photo art in here. It's pretty cool. Like if you go to like to the extended, I wonder if you could see that. There you go. Like you have like a little picture book thing. And where is it? Oh, that's too spicy to show. But yeah, you also have a bunch of photos in here as well. It's really cool. Really like nice and glossy, old school. Where is it? Oh yeah, you have an article about Fen de Villers, my good friend. Amanda Millis, Dr. Benjamin Braddock, Alex Perez, Sam Finley. Michael Anton actually has an article here about Tom Wolfe, James Poulis, a bunch of other people. I unfortunately could not make the cut. I was just too busy at the time. But in the next issue, I'll probably be in it. So I'm going to read Daniel Miller's essay. But before we get to that, this is a really important thread that I discovered by my good friend B. Wiley. So let me go to screen share again. I always have to click it. Oh boy. There we go. Where is it? Here we go. By Scuff B. Wiley. Why are all of the artists why are all of the artists of the left on the left? This myopic observation is a source of misunderstanding and short-sighted resignation that for many on the right, both regarding the nature of creativity itself and a path forward for creating a new canon. But before we go on, let me just look at the quote tweets really quickly. I'm a glutton for punishment. Um, I'm not a leftist artist, but I pretend to be one for safety in public. Last time I stood my ground on myself, I was chased out of my own show by Alfred screaming libtards. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lafayette Lee is a good friend. He's a great poster. I have tons of right wing writers and artists just from the small collection of people I interact with on here. Yeah, he's a good. Antio is a good follower of mine. Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend. There we go. I love how maybe I should just like stream myself every single day, just going on Twitter. I'd probably get banned though. I'd probably get banned. So, do we actually think the most gifted actors, musicians, artists are highly literate in political theory? Are they dedicating time to dissecting the perception of leftist philosophy, the precepts of leftist philosophy, intentionally cultivating a revolutionary worldview? Of course not. If you have the temperament to be a genuinely creative person, you more than likely have lesser focused on your goals, dedicating yourself to the execution of the artistic vision. This is an exhaustive process that requires the full commitment of your being. Yeah, it's better if I highlight each tweet. This is a good thing. It's what we want and expect of our artists. They should dance between the practical, the possible, and the seemingly impossible. That is a great tweet. That is, I think, if I had to pin down the mission of every artist who is serious, regardless of their political allegiance, I think that is probably the best I can offer. That is like one of the better statements I've heard of in terms of the driving force of the work of art. I don't want to live in a world where an anomalous wellspring of creative potential also has to occupy his time guarantee. Wellspring of creative potential also has to occupy his time, guaranteeing he is up to date on the intricacies of political issue du jour. Exactly. Many do not understand that the artistic creation. Oh my God, Epstein Island is trending. My God. Many do not understand that artistic creation is a balance of conscious fundamentals, practice at craft, and unconscious inspiration. The artistic process is more akin to the flow state of an athlete than it is to a lofty, high intellectual execution. Now, I think the sort of I think that the problem is that when it comes to modern and contemporary art, when it comes to modern art, at least from the post-war period, these two aspects get conflated with each other. They are co-current. You have the one mode, which I guess Paul Talk would talk about. I guess Paul Talk would label it the not the decorative, what the other side he calls it. Help me out, Philip Daniel. The decorative and the other aspect. But he would say that, that's the more intellectual mode of it. And you also have this other reality of the flow state, or the sort of the muse, the unconscious inspiration. A lot of the compositions that I've planned out, that I've even painted or done printmaking of, a lot of it like just comes to me. Like, I mean, I know I do a lot of memes and stuff like that, but a lot of it I think just comes to me in terms of the confluence of images. And I think that the problem is when you're dealing with modern and contemporary art is that these two things become conflated. So the best example would be the action painters, would be people like Pollock and de Kooning, but also a better example would be Mark Tobey, that came before them in the Northwestern School in Seattle, in the rural parts of Seattle, where on the one end, Mark Tobey is, he's a Baha'i person. He was very influenced by like perennialism. He was creating these abstract works that were based off of things like Japanese calligraphy, Japanese and Chinese literati painting, and ink painting. And so you have this intellectual aspect of the spiritual aspect of it, where the artist genius tries to create a newer form of religiosity in the work of art through the practices of modern art, through abstraction. That's a conscious effort. But on the other end, you have the sort of that comes out of surrealism. You have automatism, You have things that are like, oh, I'm tapping into this, unconscious flow, man. You have this sort of like, action painting that William de Kooning described the best as like, I'm slipping into a particular piece of the painting. I'm always slipping into it. I'm guided by this region of the abstract painting is dictating to me what I have to put there. And so but the problem is that in terms of the way that people think of abstraction, in terms of the way that people think of the New York School, these are basically sold by art critics, or they were sold by art critics like Clement Greenberg in this purely intellectual mode, right? So ideally, you want to have this unconscious inspiration, but it usually doesn't turn out that way. There usually has to be this second order intellectual comportment, this sort of selling, this sort of creation of a body of work by a particular artist genius that goes into the work of art. And, of course, a lot of people have problems with this, especially in the political right. A lot of people find that incredibly problematic. So let's move on. Um, I'll have to look into why Epstein Island is trending. Little St. James. Um, a staff affiliated with the Colbert Report Late Show arrested at U.S. Capitol. Based. Arrest all Colbert. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to Fed post. Not going to Fed post. Anyways. There are very few temperamental/cognitive outliers who can achieve conscious intellectual mastery while also reaching the highest echelons of this flow state, approaching the divine. For nearly all real artists, the later consumes the totality of your being and does not leave room for much else, especially the soap opera squabbles of political theater. Point being, most people who become noteworthy in their field of creative endeavor do so because they spend their time and passion on little else. So, how do you navigate the political world? What is required to do so? You outsource your positions to the sense making apparatus, the institutions which propagate and hone the messaging. When your institutions are entirely in lockstep with the revolutionary utopian narrative, be it through a long march, the negative feedback loop, or any number of other nefarious incursions, the uniformity is seamlessly impenetrable. Exactly. Because remember, the artists themselves, especially the ones nowadays who go to art school, I hate to say this, they've ceded their sort of capacity to think about their own art. For many, many years, they ceded it to the art critics. Now they cede it to the institutions. Now they cede it to the sort of impenetrable ideological orthodoxy that is demanded by them. So me and Wide Dog, when this episode comes out next Wednesday, Wide Dog, the winner of the Passage Prize on Content Minded podcast, we talk about this reality in more detail. But basically, the artist has ceded their consciousness not to their own energies, not to their own genius. So this is where Paul Talk is wrong. And I know he's going to clip me, and I know he's going to write a clip about this. But I think that the idea of the artist's genius is no longer applicable. I think that the artist has ceded their genius over to the institutions. And if it's not the institutions, it's rather the discourses and the networks of power knowledge that inform the work of art in the contemporary art world, right? It is no longer what, John David Ebert says in a positive light in Art After Metaphysics, or what Paul Talk says in a negative light, which is the artist's genius creating a world unto themselves through their own sort of upsurge of their own, subjectivity, right? Their expression. Now the artist expresses everything not through their own inner sort of, little world that they've constructed, but now it has to be through these discourses of power knowledge that inform the ideological comportment. You know what comportment means? It means behavior. It means action. It informs the movement of that work of art through the discourses that the artist has given their full control over to. So at least that's my analysis, Additionally, the obliging difference, Additionally, this obliging deference is no longer secondary to the personal work. It's become a core component of assessing the artist in their totality. Think of the black square. These factors combined means that what appears to be an organic consensus is rather multiple vectors of coercion impressed upon people who would better off not have been asked. That's right. If you want an opinion nowadays, apart from very few, if you want a good opinion on someone's artwork in art school nowadays, don't ask them. Ask someone else. I hate to say it, but a lot of artists they don't. People they're like, well, the artist doesn't have to explain their work. They have to like that is a very older picture. That's like that's like a put on nowadays, right? Like I think that the artist has to have a capacity, at least in sort of like a more of like a stepping back reflective mode. They at least have to have the capacity to like express their own self, right? So let me see what the chat is doing actually. The revolution serves any art. There you go, King Salmonfish. The revolution serves my art, my heart. That is the key. Michael says, just embrace ironic kitsch and push it. That's good. Philip Daniel says, the socialist realist music of Hans Eisler is simply boring with the exception of Hollywood Songbook. Contrast his total apolitical fellow Schoenberg pupil, Nicholas Skalatatas, Skalkata, night and day. That is, yeah. I mean, I know Schoenberg, he was quite a reactionary, even though people like to call him like quote unquote degenerate or whatever. Subject change, much like pro wrestlers have done with the dirt sheets in the IWC. Oh my god. Oh, apparently Vince McMahon got canceled pretty hard this week. Oh, salute. You know, like let me just I have a little rant about Vince McMahon, but also another exciting announcement that I have at the end of this stream. I'm going to save it though. I'm going to save it for the end of the stream. I have that's related to wrestling. I have an exciting announcement. But let me finish this thread. So where is it? There you go. Let me going back to it. People see this unnatural unanimity and they confess the convenience of the artists outsourcing their opinions with the intent of their artistic work to begin with. They hear some jumbled collection of platitudes and assume that the person must have imbued all of their work with the shambled sentiment. You know, if you are like a Kara Walker, you're a woke POC artist, that is your whole being. That is something Deanna Hovis said years ago when she was canceled by that ghoul Luke Turner, and she was 100% right. I hope Deanna Hovis comes back to Twitter one day. I wonder if I could get her on Content Minded. That would be great. This is why the creative countermeasures often fall short. So this is an important point of the thread. When it comes to the question of right-wing art, this is a very important point that he's getting to. This is why the creative countermeasures often fall short or appear cynical and forced. Do you think your average musician intends to be the woke artist and create their music accordingly? You know, do you think that they intend to be the woke, not the woke, but like the right-wing shitposter artist, right? This like ironic, hipster racist type of thing, right? Also, I have another idea, but I'm probably not going to say it here. It's just too edgy. More often, they made their music and picked up the security blanket of wokeness along the way. They have no problems professing fealty, but they also don't spend much time thinking about it. They didn't spend much time thinking about it. Almost nearing the end. When Daily Wire decides they want to make conservative movies or some anti-woke crap, releasing a song, they're misattributing the fealty pledge with an ulterior intent. They have it all backwards. Oh my God. That's so true. So what is a potential solution? Parallel institutions, keeping your head down for a reverse long march, a return to patronage? Something like that is suggested below, perhaps. A simple, actionable one to start could be this. If you make art, reassert the value in just shutting the fuck up. I don't want artists to make me feel good about my political camp. I want artists not to give a shit about my political camp or any political camp for that matter. I have more thoughts and examples I could expound upon, but for now, I will leave it at this. Part of reclaiming the spirit of creativity is simply doing it because your compulsion is to create things, not to score points in some inventory of political artists. That is very true. You have to resist the instrumentalization of art. Go and follow Scuffy Wiley. So what is his at Scuffed Bob? Go and follow Scuff Bob, please. He's a good friend of mine. And I think that thread was total Kino and Nectar. But anyways, the thing that I probably didn't want to share that I thought of for years now was, do you know back in the day how the alt-right used to have those remix songs? They used to like remix pop songs. People like Maracu would do like, he would take a Britney Spears song and like it was always some kind of like tongue-in-cheek thing, like, Goy Division or whatever. I remember back in the day, I thought about this song. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm gonna get banned. The song by Korn from the first album called, F Slur. I can't say the term. The F Slur song from Korn? There's this one line in the chorus, like in the middle section, where he's like, "I'm just a pretty boy. I don't want to fuck a girl." Like, I had this remix where I'm like, imagine if like Maracu or like Walt Bismarck back in the day, they took the Korn F Slur song and they said, "I'm just a pretty boy. I'm not meant to fuck a white girl. I'm just a pretty boy living in this." Well, you can imagine what type of world, right? So I'm like, I thought about that. I'm like, my God, that could have been bangers. That instead of like remixing Britney Spears songs, they could have, or like remixing Disney music, they could have took that Korn song. I'm just a pretty boy. Why do I find that funny? I can't. I've been literally waiting to tell someone that for years now. Gio's gonna end up streaming on Cozy. I'm just a pretty boy. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, that's terrible. I'm terrible, right? No one, hello, no one. Yeah, I know it's terrible. Especially in the context of That's true. So let me go to the comments before I read the Daniel Miller essay. So Pleasure Island says a lot of content creators couldn't refrain from political takes. A lot whom consider themselves artists. That's very true. Let's see what else. Gio, thoughts on keeping it real art critics? I mean, I like to think I'm a keeping it real art critic, but I think like okay, here's the thing. There are people of like the archetype of the keeping it real art critic. One of them is like Brad Tromel. I think like Brad Tromel has huge potential in terms of like red pilling his audience if he like just stopped being like a basic lib. I think that like in terms of the keeping it real art critic, I think he does a good job of it. Pleasure Island also said, ironic thing is that Kara Walker is often chided by the art world apparatchiks for not being essentialist or woke enough. Well, there were other like very woke by POC artists that like were basically trying to cancel her for her own sort of sexual undertones to her work. I love Korn so much I skipped back to listening to it again. Yeah. But I was actually listening to Untouchables and the first album again recently. But no, I'm just a pretty boy. I can't that's terrible. Why did I even mention that? But I've been waiting years to mention that. So Sean Total is better. Manhattan Art Review is actually red pilled, not a lib honeypot. You know what? Actually, Pleasure Island. I think I'll probably I've heard of the Manhattan Art Review, but I probably like will read it just as much as I read Art Space. Like there are ones that are just like ghastly that I just despise, like Frieza, or like even Wide Walls has to like they're more of an aggregator, but like, there's yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that are terrible. Like Hyperallergic really disappoints me because Hyperallergic actually does have good essays, but all of them are just like terrible, like terrible rad libs. Rita's Whitney being all peace. He sounds like a geocell. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I don't even know if I should address this. I'll get canceled for this pretty hard. What do you think about Milady Remilia Collective? Well, the thing is, I'm not gonna say. I'm not. No, no. I mean, you people. I'm acting like ghosts now. I'm acting like ghosts now. What I think is that I've listened to the Verse Laloon interview with Justin Murphy. I think though that there's a limit to trolling though. Like there is a limit to like doing an art performance based around Chan culture and our online shit posting. And there are a lot of sus things, but like there are like I'm not gonna lie, I did interact with a lot of Koliak people back in the day. There's some that I still like, but yeah, I know before Sunny left, we had kind of nah, never mind, never mind. But I think that initially I was very critical of it because I was trying to counter signal my former podcast. To be brutally honest, I initially was trying to, it was, but the more I think of it, the more I think that like it is kind of suspicious that they're trying to like cancel them all at once. But like, there are people like Angelicism that do a lot of great stuff. There are people that do the sort of like hyper online, um, you know, creating like a brand or a cult of personality. But there is a lot of sus things, and I prefer to just leave it at that. I prefer to stay neutral on the Milady question. Um, yeah, that's my answer. I know it's kind of a slippery political answer, but I mean, I do think that even back in the Koliak days, what they were doing is interesting, but a lot of the stuff is like, you know, ugh, I can't. It's just too, it just grates with my own moral framework too much. Even if it is a shit post, I feel like not like the race stuff. I don't care about that. I mean like the other stuff that I should mention on YouTube. I mean, I think that yeah, I mean I prefer to stay neutral, but of course, like I know Logo is going after me. I go, he's like, I knew it. I knew about these people were evil, evil, evil. Typical Widenicon, like they're evil, they're evil. Lo, I'm trying to work on things with Logo. I'm trying to work with the guy. I'm trying to smooth things over, but Logo makes it difficult. I gotta say, Logo makes it difficult. But the more I think I cool my jets on certain people, the more I stand back and I'm like, I kind of do appreciate them, even if I don't agree with them. I think Logo is a guy that I feel like now I know like he's very cantankerous and he makes it hard to like the guy, but like I think the more I step back from it, I do appreciate Logo. I do appreciate his presence. So yeah, I can't give you a definitive answer on the Milady question apart from there's some things I don't agree with. There's some things I think that you can't sort of hand wave away as irony or as like an elaborate project where people in Milady or like people in Koliak are canceling each other and so forth. I think that like at a certain point, I mean, you have to sort of like look at what you're doing online. But that being said, I mean, the more I look at it, it's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is sus, but like I can I know like as an artist, I can understand the sort of impulse of utilizing the discourse of the online and the way in which the online affects someone's subjectivity. I do think that like that's very interesting. But I think that there's a line when you get into like a lot of this stuff. I think that there's a line that you cross, and it's like, I mean, maybe one day I will talk to Verse about it. I think I will probably talk to Verse and Jimbo about it. Kimbo. Like I think maybe we'll set up something for Content Minded. Because I initially wanted to do an episode on Milady. and I'm still open to it. It's just that, a certain someone did a certain stream on the same day that I was doing content minded, and I got pretty salty. And yeah, anyways. Yeah, so a lot of yeah. The Milady Maya is interesting when it concerns contemporary modes of social organization in this interconnected epoch. I agree, Pleasure Island, that is amazing. I agree with that. Even though if I don't agree with the particular content that they were dealing with in terms of certain issues, but you know, there's some guys I wish were still around, like Aryan Cowboy. I think Aryan Cowboy was one of the greatest posters who ever lived. Um uh Logo is the Twitter esotericist Jordan. No. And that he's not as interesting in that what she cites. Oh god, no, no. That's brutal. I mean, Logo is interesting. Come on. Um Wine has been stacking W's as of late. Pleasure Island, how have they been stacking W's as of late besides the Maya thing? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't follow the lore as much. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna move on. So Moldbug Logo Peterson and Holy Logo Moldbug Logo Peterson and Holy Trinity. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible. Oh man. I mean, I appreciate Logo. I want to talk to him one day, I know he kind of snipes at me nowadays. Like he'll come into my mentions, he'll snipe at me, but I don't know. I've always had more deference towards Logo. I think I do value his posting. Um so oh man. Anyways, let's move on to the Daniel Miller essay in I Am 1776. Wait, let me just show you where is it really quickly. The photo Italian Futurism by Fen de Villers. This is also an essay you can read. That's one of his. Where is it? There we go. There we go. That's one of his essays you can read. And yeah. Oh, they even have the Giga Chad lying down. They even have the Giga Chad lying down. That's crazy. Anyways, let me get to the Daniel Miller essay. Where is it? Where is it? So this is called Art Beyond the Right, page 90. Art Beyond the Right. Where is it? There's also an essay by Benjamin Braddock about Lana Del Rey. So there you go. Where is it? Art Beyond the Right by Daniel Miller. I think I'm gonna read. How long is this? I'm gonna have to read some excerpts. I mean, yeah, it's fairly long, but I'll read some excerpts, the good ones. So Daniel Miller says, art is a mirror of the culture which creates it, reflecting its self-image, its fixations, its lucidity, and its fears. For more than 30 years, contemporary art has traced the flight path of a globalizing digital humanity at the discretion of the global laptop class for at least 5 years, with globalism entering a tailspin and the couriers and its courtiers submitting to a nervous breakdown. It has crystallized nothing as clear as cognitive dissonance, creative exhaustion, and lies. Today, the need to reject and ultimately destroy a contemporary cultural system has become a police propaganda weapon for a nihilist oligarchy is evident to everyone with eyes. But what essentially defines the system and what creates strategies that could catalyze a cultural renewal. In recent months, one proposal has come from an increasingly visible online anonymous right. Emphasizing the overtly progressive ideological character of contemporary corporate and political power, as well as the increasingly naked deployment of so-called anti-fascist militant violence, the self-identified dissident right argue that the extant contemporary hegemony represents the inevitable outcome of essentially leftist metaphysical premises dating back to the 60s, if not the end of the Second World War or the French Revolution. Theorizing, or rather overdetermining leftists leftism as a movement of entropy, the spear of quasi-Nietzschean leveling effect in the the ideology of Milton's Satan. The social media spokesman of the anonymous right claim allegiance to supposedly traditional principles and an aggressive, self-aggrandizing conception of hierarchy against advertised leftist values of equality, feminism, and democracy. So then moving on to the next page. So violence, contemporary activism, blah, blah, blah. For the militants, this approach supplies enjoyment and meaning, but from a more detached point of view, the phenomenon remains cliched and stunted aesthetically, ineffective and counterproductive politically. And no wonder. Understood in itself as a social identity, as and rhetorical label, as opposed to the set of persons and positions claimed as connected to it. The dissident right at its worst offers a scattershot of the off the rock ideology in which language of radicalism serves as an alibi for pathological discharges and opportunist maneuvers. In this respect, it represents the mirror of left and terminates in the same place. The mirror of the left. So what Daniel Miller is saying is that essentially the sort of response by the right wing to the overtly leftist hegemony has been to like essentially keep up with the ship posting and to keep up with the almost like borderline nihilistic irony posting and so forth, and to sort of act in a sort of very militant, hyper politicized way. That's been essentially the mode of the contemporary right wing. As with the violence of contemporary left activism, psychological appeal of the strategy must be recognized first of all, addressing a marginalized audience, alienated if not directly expelled from institutional citadels. It configures an idea of the enemy, not just ideologically, but at least quasi-spiritually. The enemy becomes spiritual. When all is said and done, the left-right opposition is puppet show, staged in the virtual coliseum of corporate internet as a form of entertainment and distraction. Not just the creative sterility, but also the social and psychological misery inherent in every attempt to establish an artistic position. So on these terms follows logically from the foreclosure of spiritual questions it stages. Art becomes the propaganda standard of a party and eventually the catechism of a racket and a cult. The political failure of the online anonymous right to respond effectively when it matters to the challenge presented by the so-called global pestilence, together with its increasing irrelevance in the face of popular pro-democracy protests around the world, testifies both to the crudeness of its outlook and the insincerity of its approach. Finally, the concepts of the right, mortgaged to a totalizing specter of the left, are not subtle or precise enough to grasp contemporary political realities, let alone the spiritual complexities of art, and its ethical resources are not deep enough to face it. So that's a pretty vicious criticism of the online right, actually. Oh boy. Absent of consistent principles and true leadership, at best it presents a halfway house of meditation on way to action. At worst, it offers a simulacrum of a delusion of dissidents, expressing primarily social and psychological impulses, thereby reiterating the subpolitical, virtual, and consumerist character of contemporary global politics. In other words, the problem with the E-right is that they are mimicking the same conditions of the left in terms of creating a sense of like, a clearinghouse of ideas and then a grift and then something that resembles the same like consumerist model of modernity that the left, has controlled. We sort of create our own little micro tribal identities that don't have a lasting institutional or coherent message to graft onto. And that is a big problem. And so Daniel Miller, he's become a quite harsh critic of the E-right. And, hopefully one day, I know he's a good friend of mine, and hopefully one day on Content Minded, we can get together and talk about it more. He had this great, if you want to go to the IM 1776 website, he had this great exchange with Zero H.P. Lovecraft about it. And I think it's quite worth looking into. The importance of art and the idea of a dissident art lies in the power of art to transcend ideological, sociological, and identitarian premises in order to disclose what Plato called the beautiful and the good. The idea of a political art in the service of ideology causes contradiction in terms, since art escapes ideological categories at the same time it discloses their ultimate ground. The challenge of a dissident art is to recognize, first of all, the totalizing fanaticism of contemporary ideological categories, and finally, to formulate means of evasion and delegitimization through concrete aesthetic ethical sublation. The dissident right critique is correct in intuiting an absence of real values in the current global system, but it misperceives and in fact mystifies the explanation for the situation and accordingly fails to provide them itself. Yes, he was the organizer of LD50, Daniel Miller. Yes. Um, Percy, I'm a backpilled Joel David site with geocell tendencies. Oh my god. So finally, this is the last page. We are not at war with the left, but with something deeper and fundamental, which also exists within us. A highly precise form of intelligence perpetually gravitating towards the brutal, the simplistic, and the abject. The eternal war against this force is the invisible situation every work of art captures. The genius of the artist rests in the ability to give form to this struggle in all of its complexity, power, and purity. The critique of the contemporary cultural system is not ideological, but formal. This critique involves ideology only because ideology obscures and interrupts or perverts the possibility of an essential formulation by diverting thought down cul-de-sacs of jargon. And the political right does this as well. We should be fast, strong, clear, and direct. The image is not the symbol. We need to reinvent or rediscover language as a medium of spirit. With art grasped as a special form of language with an essentially transcendent function. Ideological and symbolic formulations linked to the left and the right, the political critiques of the left and right are relevant only insofar as they contribute to this goal, not 1 inch more. So I think that Daniel Miller, he's coming upon a very deep problem that we have. That if you were to sort of step back a minute and free yourself of the constant culture war battle, if you were to look at the deeper causes of things, we are very much in a spiritual, not just spiritual war, but we are in a spiritual frontier. But what he's saying is that the reason that a lot of like this need to create art, this need to create content, this need to create meaning on the political right, and the sort of, well, he calls it the dissident right, the online dissident right, but I call it the E-right, just for clarification. The problem is that, you know, what the response has been a sort of like hyper reactivity to the current situation. And you know, there is a limit to shit posting. There is a limit to meme culture. There is a limit to what you know, and it's going to be part of my essay series that I have to get back to writing on. But of course, I've been so busy with Patreon. I've been so busy with the podcast. What Paul Virilio called when he was experiencing the contemporary world of art in the sort of early to mid 2000s, he called it a pitiless art, you know, in the 1990s from the 2000s. The pitiless art of people that have, like, for example, there was this trend in the art world, like Staltac, where they were like have extreme body modification and it was terrible. And, you know, Jenny Savile portraits. It's like sort of like this ultra violent version of artwork, right? Like, and so he called it a pitiless art. And to me, like online shit posting meme culture is in a way a you know, extremely irreverent pitiless art. Irreverent pitiless art. It has no pity whatsoever. It is purely reactive, and I think that the sort of the reactive mode within cultural creation on the right. That is a big thing to overcome. I feel like the reason we all think that we're hitting a wall is because we haven't focused on the things that matter so much as trying to claw our way out of the hypermodern condition that has been captured and is in fact facilitated by our enemies on the political left. I feel like even myself, I get caught up in my own works of art with the same mode of reaction. And I think that in order to overcome it, you have to do what Daniel Miller says. You have to look at something deeper within the spirit of man in order to create something meaningful. So I noticed Dave Bizarchives in the chat. I think what he is doing is with his Bizarchives is probably a cut above most people in terms of celebrating the things that, young men in particular used to love, which was pulp and, comics and things of that nature. And I think that to do in a way that has, even if like a lot, even if a lot of pulp was just like cheap and easy stories or whatever, they spoke to the heart of young men in particular. I think that's why anime is quite popular, in my opinion, is that, anime, what for rightly or for wrongly speaks to the heart of man. I mean, the heart of young men in particular. And I think, a lot of great works of literature were basically, boys' adventure in disguise, right? Like most great works of literature is like, boys going on an adventure sort of deal. So if anyone has any final questions, so let's see. Uh, Wait, what is this development? They're just been vindicated with their Leibniz thesis, and so has Barrett. But Logo has been experiencing some clout debating the e-girl Dasha with the Catholicism discourse. Well, Logo, I'm never gonna agree with him in Catholicism, but if he's going after Dasha, I mean, an easy, stats booster is to engage with Dasha. But I mean, Logo has some pretty bad takes in Catholicism. But like that being said, I mean, I don't want to doubt the sincerity of anyone's faith, but I mean, I can't help but feel the Dasha thing is a put on. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Can e-girls experience genuine faith? I think they can, but they have to. I think there's a lot of steps that takes place between the e-girl LARPing faith to attract simps and the e-girl actually being a person of faith. I think there's a lot of things that have to happen in between in order for that to happen. So, yeah, I don't know about the Leibniz thing. You have to explain that, Pleasure Island. What do you mean by the Leibniz thing? Um, this is why millennial boys in Northern America prefer anime to young adult literature because we really want something like pulp. Um, well, I don't know. Like, I think, young adult literature is a hideous vector of the most anti-human propaganda I've ever seen in my life. I mean, go to any contemporary, like either contemporary sci-fi that's been colonized by these people, or especially contemporary young adult literature. Young adult literature has been responsible for some of the most startlingly terrible trends from the 2010s onwards. I would say even from the 1990s onwards. Young adult literature has been one of the most subversive modes of you know, literary poison there's ever been. Full Metal Alchemist is the greatest work of literature of all time. I think Berserk is one of the greatest works of literature of all time. I've never read Full Metal Alchemist. I'm trying to get through Berserk actually, but I've been lazy with it. I haven't found the time. What about Orson Scott Card? I heard he's pretty based. I know he got canceled for being a Mormon for having opinions on the cultural Brahmins of this month in particular, June. The particular month. I know he got canceled pretty viciously, but I mean, yeah, I've never. What did Orson Scott Card write again? What did he write? Both Berserk and Hunter x Hunter are coming back. Yeah, I heard Berserk is coming back after Miura died. I think like he trained his team. Like I don't I don't know exactly how he died. He died pretty young. He was only 50 or something, right? But I know he trained his team to like take over the reins of Berserk. So, um, the Japanese at least go through the trouble of separating boys shonens from girls fujoshis. Shoujus. Yeah, is that what they call them? Shoujos? Manga slash anime, everything from young men in the West has been colonized. Yeah, that's very true. Um, did you notice the cracks that formed from Maya BPD during the Kolyak days? Are the fall lines separating the online space now? I mean, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I think that, in some ways, Kolyak, they did sort of intuit the way in which a lot of like online like slap fights and the way in which things were to have bifurcated. I think that the political divisions, even within the online right. I mean, because I think Kolyak, they occupied a very weird space, but by the time a lot of them left, I mean, yeah, uh, Fujoshis are like watching. Yeah, sorry, I meant shoujus. Yeah, Fujoshis are the apparently so apparently there's a lesbian version of yaoi as well. I didn't know this. There's a lesbian version of it, which I think oh god, that's terrible. Um yeah, so if anyone has any more questions, what are your thoughts on Berserk, specifically about Griffith? I think Griffith, out of all of the examples of antiquity, is probably the best example of the beautiful boy archetype there ever is. If you read Paglia's chapter in Sexual Persona about the beautiful boy, Griffith is like the perfect example. So it's called Yuri. Yuri, oh god, Yuri Bezmenov. um Man, that's terrible. That's why? Just why? Why? That's another thing. There's a lot of red wires. There's a lot of like lines you trip with anime that I think go unaddressed. I mean, years ago I used to be harsher on the anime people, but now I've sort of I understand, like I don't understand, but like I think I know where the anime people are coming from. I'm much more I mean, I'm critical of a lot of aspects of anime culture, but I think that I understand oh god, Sisyphean task. Oh my god, that's terrible. Why would you say that? I'm not gonna say that on air. Geo Book of the New Sun is a great, beautiful boy. What is Book of the New Sun? I haven't heard of this. Chairman Mo. Chairman Mo. You're breaking AA's heart, Geo. Well, I have a more nuanced take. I think that AA is correct, though. I think that the ab licking thing is correct. So, anyways, thank you for mentioning Academic Agent. So, this is an important, exciting announcement, and I will leave you with this. But please to um go to patreon.com/generaproductions. I'm gonna have more exclusive content. I'm gonna have more Modern Art Madness episodes that are just exclusive to Patreon. The one that's coming up is gonna cover Tracy Eamon's Tent, and a bunch of other spicier ones. I have one already on there of a George Gross painting. But go to patreon.com/generaproductions. Subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. I have an important announcement when it comes to Academic Agent. But of course, I have a bunch of recordings that I'm setting up for Modern Art for Content Minded. Go to the new Anchor link. Let me go find it again. So this is the new Anchor link that just dropped. I know people have been requesting a way that they can download episodes forever now. So go to the Anchor link. But maybe maybe if you can explain the bifurcation of Kolyak, I'll leave it on that. But so there it is. Anchor.fm/Jenner Productions. Oh, actually, here's a good comment. Like Pulp, I think there is some good classical styled storytelling in the straight to video genres in the VHS era. Yes, I agree with that. Sometimes strong aesthetics too, waiting to be discovered. I know that like there are some I'm a big fan of like indie movies and made for TV movies. A lot of like quiet character pieces. A lot of them are made here in Canada. I don't know why. I mean, a lot of people find them boring, but I do like a lot of like these made for TV indie films that are like these quiet drama character pieces, usually in like a rural or semi-rural setting. There are a few that were actually filmed near here in Niagara that I quite enjoy. But my final big announcement, I think it's on the 29th on a Wednesday. I've just confirmed with Academic Agent, I'm going to go on the cigar stream to talk about kayfabe and politics, to talk about professional wrestling as a political model. I'm going to be back on the big leagues, baby. Academic Agent, pro wrestling, GeoCell Army, ready to invade Academic Agent's channel like ECW, invading Monday Night Raw. But of course, in the back end, Vince McMahon facilitated that invasion. It's going to be amazing. GeoCell Army is one with the cigar stream, an Academic Agent talking about professional wrestling. Let's go. Give me a salute in the chat, to salute to Academic Agent in the chat. 07's in the chat, boys. It's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about professional wrestling and like how kayfabe is a model of contemporary politics. I'm going to bring up the Roland Barth essay on professional wrestling. 07 for Academic Agent. The GeoCell Army invading the cigar stream like ECW invading Monday Night Raw. It's going to be amazing. I think it's not this week coming up. It's the next week. It's going to be the 29th of on a Wednesday. So I'm probably going to have to push Content Minded to either Tuesday or Thursday. So it's going to be amazing. Going to invade the cigar stream, the GeoCell Army. I want to see you boys in the chat out in full force. GeoCell Army. It's going to be amazing. So I've been going for almost an hour and a half. I hope I didn't put a foot in my mouth too much with the Koliak stuff. But, like I say, I do find a lot of things sus, but I do think that, now that Versaloon, he explained it in a, I think, a reasonable way. If you go to the Justin Murphy channel, Other Life, Versaloon, he interviews Versaloon in person. And, people said that Verse was 6 feet tall. I never believed them because he didn't look like he was 6 feet tall. But he's a pretty sizable dude. So I mean, I had a more harsher opinion of the whole thing before, and I still do find a lot of the things sus, I don't, but yeah, I think that, I don't know. I hope I'm not nuanced posting my foot in my mouth, but these are like my honest thoughts about it. How tall are you, Jill? I am 7 foot. No, I'm kidding. I'm 5 foot. I'm 5'11" whereabouts. I'm 5'11". I'm almost 6 feet. I'm almost 6 feet. But like, my father is like 6'2" though. So that's the thing. Unfortunately I haven't inherited his height gene, but yeah. So this is all the exciting content announcements. Like I said, I have a new anchor link. I'm going to put, I'm in the process of backing up all of because apparently, like, unless I find a way to stream onto Odyssey directly, maybe through OBS, I'm gonna probably set something up to do it automatically. I'm in the process of downloading my longer videos to put on Odyssey, because a good tip that Keith Woods told me is that if you download longer streams directly from YouTube, it will lower the bitrate sufficiently to put on Odyssey, so it will go on Odyssey uninterrupted. Because before I would put Odyssey, like I would put longer videos on Odyssey directly, but the bitrate would be too high and it would be like kind of laggy. So Keith Wood's like, yeah, just download it from YouTube and like delete it after if it's too like, unoptical, like if the YouTube Jannies will get at it. Just like, delete it afterwards and download it, then put that version on Odyssey. So that's a good tip. Is Keith Wood 6'4"? Is that true? Holy crap. What are they feeding those people in Ireland? Keith Woods is a good kid, despite what you say. I love Keith Woods. Hopefully one day, I mentioned this, I floated the idea to Joel, but he's like, Keith gets invited on a lot of different stuff. He's got like a huge backlog, but maybe one day Keith will go on Content Minded. If Keith Woods was a wrestler, he would be called the Spider. The Spider. That's pretty cool. Joel is 6'2". Yes, Joel is 6'2". Yeah, I'm unfortunately only 5'11". So, anyways, this has been amazing. This has been the first stream where I've used StreamYards. I'm gonna do StreamYards has truly liberated me into doing screen sharing. I can share slides. I can do different things. And like I said, 2 major content announcements. Gonna be on the cigar stream again as the marquee guest. Academic Agent has been kind enough to roll out the red carpet for Geo and the GeoCell Army. And also, I'm going to start doing regular shows with the Prudentialist. We're probably going to call it the Shitpost Archipelago. It's going to be amazing. Content minded next week with Wide Dog, winner of the Passage Prize. Go to patreon.com/Giant Productions. I've reached my Patreon goal, which means I'm going to have to start writing that book. I should have set it to $1,000 a month because now I got to write that book. I can't believe that. Yes, exactly. So if you like that name in the chat, please tell me that that name is good. The Shitpost Archipelago. We're going to do an arts and culture and online show similar to what Catherine, Default Friend, and Personality Girl were doing with After the Orgy. It's going to be amazing. We're going to break down specific topics, specific pieces of media and books and all that stuff. It's going to be amazing. We're probably going to do it for the first few months. We're going to do it maybe maybe once every 2 weeks. Then we'll talk about doing it. If it reaches popularity, we're going to do it maybe every week. Probably on a Thursday. We'll see what happens. So very exciting content updates. Next week, Wide Dog on Content Minded for the full 3-hour interview. Go to patreon.com/Giant Productions. Press 1 for Shitpost Archipelago as a good name. Press 2 if you think I should do another name, me and him. Press 1 for it. But thank you all. Thank you for coming. We should mass report your... Well, I'll see if Instagram gets back to me, Cronkicks. I'll see what happens. A lot of ones in the chat. Thank you, everyone. This has been amazing. I'm so grateful that I finally, splurged and bought StreamYards with all of you patrons have directly helped me buy StreamYards to grow this thing of ours, to grow my presence, to do streams that don't have a lot of technical issues, like with OBS. And picking up my camera, making my audio as shitty as possible. But hey, that's keto. And another thing too, before I go, a lot of people said they like the standalone videos with the animated filter on it. I think I'm gonna do more of those videos with like the sort of like the waking life filter, the cartoon filter on it, the waking life stuff. People really like that stuff. So I think I'm gonna do more of those, like, quick and easy iPhone videos that I put filters on. So look for more of those. I have one in particular. I have one video that's going to come out next week. It's going to be on what I call modern pop nihilism. Modern pop nihilism. So that's going to be amazing. Thank you all. I missed the old webcam microphone stream. Had soul to it. Well, maybe I'll do something. Maybe I'll do some of those videos. Maybe I'll do that, and I'll put the cartoon filter on it just for shits and gigs. So thank you all. God bless you all. Goodbye. Mega content. GeoCell Army marching forward. God bless. Goodbye. Sweet. Thank you.